Hello.
Hey, Ron, how are you, bud?
Good. Let me do a nape original sound and tilt. There we go.
There it is. Fantastic, man.
How are you? How's everything?
Good, real good, man. How are you?
Very good.
Good, good.
I'm going out of my mind as this album ramps up. The day is coming. It's coming very soon. And for example, yesterday I had 1,007 pounds of vinyl albums
Wow.
delivered to my house that I then took this big pallet and opened it up and took all the individual boxes and managed to fit them all in my car, drive down to my studio, stack them all up in my studio, take five of those boxes, readdress them to the retail distributor,
Yeah,
and just sent those out this morning. And I haven't even opened up an album yet, but
look at that.
here it is.
Nice.
So
Look,
weird just holding it in
isn't
the
that
hand.
cool?
It's
It's got to feel great still, right? I mean, back in the day we had vinyl all the time for everything. But I mean, you make this stuff, it's your creation. You're an artist, just like a painter would be. And you have this beautiful physical copy with this beautiful color and artwork. It's gotta be, but aside from the music, it's gotta be just so great to hold that your creation in your hand. It's pretty great.
you forget what it's like.
Yeah,
And then I'm holding it, and the artwork is so big and so clear, and you're not looking at it on a screen,
yeah,
and it's not CD
right,
size. Like
right.
I'm seeing all these details I never saw before in there,
It's
and
cool,
it's
man. It is cool. Who did the artwork? I know, we go back 30 years, right? You're, and I was going to give you an introduction. You don't need an introduction. Everybody knows who you
I don't know.
are.
I'm not sure about that, but okay. So the artwork for well, 30 years ago, I made all the artwork myself.
Windows
Took about
95, right?
Yeah. So it was 2 weeks of just sitting in front of a computer using Corel Draw 4.0, where I'm just taking a dot, making a line, another dot, and making a shape, and then curving the line and filling and adding a gradient and doing that for like 2 weeks. And I remember it took 14 hours overnight to get the 1.4 megabyte JPEG to the label to Shrapnel Records, and I kept disconnecting. It would be 3 in the morning, and suddenly I would just hear AOL say, "Goodbye." I was like, "Damn it!" Wake up, I reconnect. I was like, "Welcome, you
Dial up
got mail," and then just try and send it again, and just over and over. Things have changed since then.
a
So
little
now
bit.
I came up with all this crazy little weird artwork. Like it's all kind of based around my cat Simon
Yes.
and everything that would be a challenge, an obstacle to him. So like the flying
Okay.
alien mice and asteroids made out of cheese
I saw the cheese.
and all
Yeah.
kind of things like that, and just weird, trippy stuff. Don't do drugs when you look at the art. So I had all of these different elements that I came up with. The main character of it, this thing,
Yeah.
uh,
It's
originally on my first album, it was a similar vibe to this. It was like the Adventures of Bumblefoot, and it had a flying human foot morphed with a bee. It was like a foot with wings, a stinger, and black and yellow stripes. So I figured, what would be 30 years of evolution of life happening? So the double neck guitar,
yes. Classic, the
and
iconic double neck guitar.
and we are certainly in the space age more than ever. So I was like, you know what? It should be, like Boston, like make it a flying guitar spaceship, a guitar ship. So I
Yep.
started working on it, and that's when I realized how much I really suck at art. I hired this wonderful dude who came up with exactly it. And then what we did is we hired a 3D software specialist renderer to take the 2D image the guy made and turn it into a 3D model. So this way, you never have to redraw the guitar or anything. You have it like this, fine. You have it from behind and flying away.
Wow.
And all you do is you move the model to any angle, any perspective, any lighting that you want, and you just render a 2D image of that and work around that. So I was able to use that in the album art, in the music video, in the video game, which is coming out very soon, for everything. So yeah, it has been a lot of work on that, and
Wow. So the artwork is a video game. Oh, how cool is that? So the
it's a
artwork, I mean, you spend as much time on the artwork, almost as much as the music itself. So
total,
it's
yeah,
a
it's
full package.
absolutely. I want it to be as fun as possible and just have as much going on as possible. I didn't want to just stick an album on Spotify.
Yeah.
No, I wanted vinyl, of course, and it's a ton of artwork in this thing. I haven't even opened one yet.
Okay.
But it's 2 discs, and well, the thing opens up, gatefold art inside and everything, and then it's all artwork on the insert, and the second disc
Wow, look at that.
is clear like that. And wait a
What a
minute.
beautiful
Now I'm getting
package.
scared because this is supposed to have artwork on. There it is. Okay, so both are clear, and the second one
Oh, look at that.
is a UV pressing. Now I thought
Wow.
that this actually, I'm surprised. I thought that both. Okay, this is my first time looking at this ever.
How cool is
So,
that?
so here is the thing. Now it has the artwork on the second disc. There's music on 3 sides, the art printed on the fourth. But I thought that this was just going to be a regular disc, but it's clear also.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
2 clear discs with artwork on the second. So there's that. For the CD, it opens up and you have in one pocket the CD. In the other one, it's a booklet, not stapled, but it folds out into a bigger square that has the same deal of like artwork on 2 sides. And then what I did, being my first album was on CD and cassette, I put out
Of course you did.
album on cassette. So, and again, the thing we love about these formats is that they come with so much art.
Yep.
So this opens up, opens up to a whole big thing of art and info and
Look
art
at
on
that.
this side.
That's awesome.
Because that is what we loved about albums. Is
Yes.
holding a big, it wasn't just the music, it was a piece of art that's directly in front of your eyes, and you can open it and take things out, and there's more art. And that's what I wanted. If you're going to put it out on vinyl, make it have a lot of
Yeah.
art. Because
Yeah,
that's
you
what
got-
we love about
You
it.
got the thank yous and you got the credits. We cared about who mastered the record. I got to know George Marino. I never, you know what I mean? At Sterling Sound. I don't know who he is. I've never seen him,
Rest his
but
soul. Yeah.
he's on every record I have, it seems. So it was a thing. You read those things. You cared about that. You cared who was playing on the record. You cared who produced it and who was, who the artist thanked. And that's a beautiful thing to have. Really cool, man.
So the video it has all of these weird creatures and elements throughout it. And I started making the video myself. And I am not a video maker, but I have Adobe Premiere.
Yeah.
And I started doing it. And what I imagined is like you just suddenly wake up in an asteroid belt and things are flying at you and you're like, what the hell? Like just out of nowhere, like getting awoken out of your sleep in the middle of a tornado. And there's millions of things for the first 30 seconds just flying at the screen and moving and boom, 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 boom. And it happens every time for that same section of the song. And I timed it so that you could almost make out what is flying, sometimes more than others, but some things are so strange in there and they fly by so quickly that you might have thought you saw it, but you can't be sure. Like things like a brick of Kerrygold butter.
Yes.
And,
Nice.
like just weird, crazy, strange stuff. I think if people watch it in slow motion, they'll get a kick out of a lot of the things they see. So there's that video where a friend of mine, Radek Grabinski, who has a software company, Gloomyware, lives out in Poland, wonderful guy. So he helped me make that video beautiful and less silly and more just gorgeous stuff. What I envisioned, like for the nice melodic parts, seeing just beautiful space moments and all of that. And he did the video game. Let me see if I can even get a copy of that. So
you're talking about this stuff, and I hear, and you have that space theme going on, and and it's eclectic and all this weird stuff. And I'm thinking about the guests on this record. So you have Queen's Brian May, of course. We know how into space he is. I mean, astrophysics and degrees and all of that. It's a huge part of his life. And Steve Vai is maybe the most eclectic, weird kind of eccentric musicality of him. It all comes. They have a. They had to enjoy a lot of these themes for sure.
I hope so.
For sure. I mean, Brian's got to love the space thing going on. For sure.
He is part of the organizing of these festivals called Starmus, and it's a combination of star astrophysics and music. So I've played a couple of them, and they're just incredible. And for me, my biggest interests as a child were music and astrophysics. I mean, as a child, I couldn't even say the word astrophysics. It was more just the planets, the moon, the sun, the stars, all of that. And just what made it all happen, and just that incredible curiosity about what makes existence what it is, because everything we are is part of that. All the space in between the particles, that is unknown material, is part of us. We are 95% unknown space.
Yeah, I'm a photographer, so I do sometimes we'll film, photograph the Milky Way. And, I mean, it's just every time, no matter what, and it looks approximately the same each time. It's like photographing the moon. It, doesn't change that much. But every time I look at it, I am fascinated that, all of those little dots and shapes in that photo are planets and, different forms of existence, matter, and we're just one speck of a huge thing. It's fascinating to me.
If you really think about the things that we get pissed off about, like traffic in the morning or something like that, and then you say, wait a minute, this little moment in time compared to over 13 billion years of the universe, at least we think, existing, and how really unimportant that traffic is, even just like in your own life. Like, you're not going to remember that traffic a year from now and on that particular day, and the scale of all the things, and saying, okay, compared to the world, compared to forming, compared to, like, it gives you a very good perspective on things. The video game.
Yeah.
It is a retro space shooter, kind of another way for people to experience the album. And now I'm going to give the camera a flip. There is this. So, new game. Here we are. We are the ship, and you just hold it down, and you start shooting. There's the robot.
I love it.
Get the power-up coins, and there's more. Gotcha. Oh, and these things are shooting at you. So you gotta dodge the bullets while you're shooting. Got him. Get the power-up coin, and another one. Ah! Oh! Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. and this thing again. And look up here. Look, there's those aliens as well. We gotta get them.
Ah.
And more of them. All right, this is the best I've. I was just saying, this is the best I've ever done, and that's when. All right, so this is a free video game just for fun, just to put out so people can enjoy another way of listening to the music. Yeah.
Love it, man.
So here's the problem, though. This was supposed to come out with the single on December 6th with Simon in Space. And a few days before, Apple flagged the game and said, oh, it needs additional review. We need to make sure it's not spam. And they still haven't okayed it.
Wow.
So we can't wait any longer. Like, we wanted to have it out for everyone at once, but got to get this thing out. So when the album comes out, January 24th, the video game will be available on the Google Play Store, and I got a version as well, easily accessible. And the Apple will review it and make it available on the Apple Store as well soon.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. That is just way cool. We're looking forward to it for sure.
Cool. But wait, there's more. So now all the guitar stuff that I did, I used the Helix Line 6 processor to get all my guitar sounds.
Okay.
So what I've done is all those guitar sounds are going to be available at Line 6 Marketplace, where all the weird guitar sounds, you can have those exact sounds right there. If you have a Helix pedal, you can have all the weird sounds I came up with.
That's cool.
So there's that. But wait, there's more. I teamed up with Deco Records, Deco Entertainment. Great bunch of guys, great label. So they're going to handle my retail distro. So that means that if you go into Amoeba Records and say, hey, do you have this? They're going to say, no, but we can get it for you because, you know, it's in our system. And who knows, maybe some will carry it. So it'll be available in retail as well. And they are teamed up with Cargo Records in the UK, so they'll have it out there as well. And I'll see where else I can do that. The website, you can get all kinds of merch bundles and things. I made, Simon's my cat, so I made a pet bowl with Simon the astronaut on it, and the shirts and all that stuff.
I love it.
What else? I know I'm forgetting something. Oh, I wrote out the entire album.
That's what we were talking about last time. You were talking about a transcription book for the upcoming record. Now that upcoming record's here. Do you have the book?
I have For Whom Gods Destroy. That one is done.
Okay.
But for this album, they're still working on it. They're still typesetting it and setting it up and making it, you know, putting in the photos. The company Sheet Happens, they put out great guitar transcription books. So this thing, it has every single, like in one song, every single track, not just the guitar solo part. It has the rhythms, the harmonies, anything that was played, the bass, and it has the musical notation, it has the tablature, it has the fingers, it has the direction of the picking and plucking, everything, and any special instructions, like hold this down with your elbow while plucking this with your foot, and you know, like all that kind of stuff. So it is, when I do these, I make them as detailed, every single detail as possible. But wait, there's more. So the good folks at Deco, they are immersed in the comic book world. So we're going to do a Bumblefoot comic book. We're going to do that too. We're going to start working on that. I just need to come up with some crazy stories. But wait, there's more. So I have a hot sauce company. Been doing that for many, many years. Oh God, don't use that. It's too hot.
I put this on chicken yesterday. I have them all.
You do? Excellent.
We have the sauce.
Nice.
And this is my favorite, of course, the Bumblicious. I love the cherry bourbon thing going on there, man. It's so good. But this I had not used before, and I forgot that it was so high on the scale. I just slathered my chicken in it,
One drop is enough for a whole plate of food.
Put it in my mouth, and I was in recovery for about 45 minutes. I had a gallon of milk and a toothbrush, so I survived. I'm here today.
I'm glad you survived. Hopefully, all your organs will survive. And yeah, just
Wow.
a dot, a pinhead amount.
Yep, yep,
So,
and great stuff. The hot sauce.
yeah, thank you for. I'm glad you got them. Cool. I'm
Oh,
glad you
thank
like
you
them.
for making them. Yeah, yeah, it's
Of course.
fantastic.
So, I went through all the songs. I was like, what would make a good hot sauce? And I'm thinking moonshine hootenanny.
Of
It's
course
like a
it would.
Louisiana hot sauce with boiled down moonshine in it, like boiled down whiskey.
Yeah. So there's a new one.
I'm gonna make one
It's come.
to
Yeah.
go with the album.
Okay. Awesome. I can't wait,
Bumblefoot
man.
returns with the new hot sauce, moonshine hootenanny.
I love it, man. And it's it's like almost the name came after the hot sauce. I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
It's
It's
like the
perfect.
song was written for a hot sauce.
No doubt, no doubt. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I can't wait. I love the hot sauce, man, and I got to be careful with the bumblefuck.
Yes, please.
It's great, man. I love having you doing all this stuff. It's so much fun. Your career over the years has been so much fun. Photographing you as well, just always looks great. It's awesome, man. 30 years ago, you do the Adventures of Bumblefoot, you do the instrumental now. It's all come kind of full circle. Bumblefoot Returns. You never went anywhere, really. But it is a throwback to the first record. It feels like a continuation of that. But what made you do the instrumental record in relation, in that throwback thing? What was there a catalyst or inspiration behind it?
I never intended to make instrumental music. Like I would make them for my own amusement, like this little funny songs,
Yeah.
and I would just maybe throw one in the way Van Halen would throw in little guitar interludes in between the
Right.
songs on albums. But my goal was always to be in a band and having vocals. And that's from the very beginning, it was always like that. But when I signed to Shrapnel Records in 1994, and I signed where he told me that they were going to start doing vocal music. And that's what he was signing me for. But as soon as I signed, he said, well, could we just do an instrumental album just to sort of introduce you to our fan base? So I did an instrumental album. I enjoyed it, I did.
Uh,
And then from that point on, it was always vocal albums. Always.
yeah.
The last vocal full album I did was called Little Brother Is Watching, 10 years ago already,
Yeah.
2015. And since then, been pretty busy. Did two Art of Anarchy albums, one with
Yep.
Scott Stapp of Creed, one with Scott Weiland,
Yep.
rest his soul, and
And another Scott in there. You know.
oh yes, and then the third one with the great Jeff Scott Soto. Only Scots allowed.
Yes.
Uh, yes. So yes, I only all my singers they're either going to be they're going to have a Scott in their name or they're going to be a Scotsman. So there was Sons of Apollo. Three
Yes.
albums we did. We did the two
Mm,
studio albums and the live album with the orchestra and the choir. Tons of touring.
incredible.
In 2019, I put out one instrumental song, just digitally, just stuck it out. And then I was also producing a lot of bands.
Hmm.
There's this great band called the Dodies,
Yes.
Dodies. So three of their albums. The third one's coming out this year.
Yeah,
And
we
just
talked. It was about a year ago, and the record was earlier this year, maybe, and that's it's right around now.
yeah.
Yeah, so looking forward to that too. Yeah,
So all of that, and then on the road with Sons of Apollo, supporting our album MMXX 2020, and we all know what happened that year.
Yeah.
So got about 4 shows into the tour of 20 shows in Europe and had to run home and sit in this chair for a year or two. So suddenly all this time, this unexpected time. So Derek and I started writing more music that could have been Sons of Apollo's third album, but it became Whom Gods Destroy. That band. We put out the debut album last year with Dino Jalusic on vocals.
Music. Wow. What a vocalist that guy is.
He
Incredible.
is the voice of rock from this point on, for as long as he is on Earth. Yes.
He is great.
Phenomenal and a great guy. And Bruno Valverde, one of the greatest drummers out there, from the band Angra, and Yaz Nomura, who's an incredible guitar player, but also a really damn good bass player. So he's playing bass on it, and we put that out. So there's that. And people would ask me, hey, would you ever do, whatever it is, another one of those? Like, would you ever do another instrumental album? Would you ever do another acoustic EP? So I put out a song called Planetary Lockdown, creative title, and put that digi single and acoustic, and from there I started writing more and just said, you know what, I've got time. I want to do another instrumental album. Let me see what I could get done. And just started writing, and it was done by the summer of 2023. It was finished. It was ready to be released.
Wow.
And then at that same point, though, the third Art of Anarchy album, Whom Gods Destroy, debut album, were first coming together. We're making videos and finishing the mixes and recording and mixing the Doty's album. So that's 10 people and 3 record labels waiting on me. Either I'm going to tell them all to wait for this to be done, or I'm going to just slow down on this and put all my time into getting all of that done for everybody. Yeah. So did that. And by spring of 2024, the albums were out, a little bit of touring, everything all done. And it's like, okay, back. And spent the rest of that year just putting all the pieces together to make this album release happen. And here we are.
It's so great. Yeah, no doubt. You gotta be exhausted, man. That's so much, and it's just so, like I say, it's so great to have you out there doing these different things, and it's all such great music, man. I mean, it's just so great. We'll have links to all of it. Tell me, I see you with the double neck all the time. That is the go-to. What's used on this record? How many guitars did you use on this record?
Pretty much this double neck for just about almost everything. Yeah. I think sometimes I used another one of these. It's this like black matte finish one that I laid some tracks with, but 99% of the album is this. There is some
cool
acoustic stuff on there that I used a Cort Gold A8 acoustic guitar. So it's pretty much that. For electric stuff, the Vigier fretted fretless double neck.
It is just a piece of art. It's a piece of art. I've seen you play it. I photograph it. It is, hearing it, photographing it. No matter what you do with it, it is just a gorgeous thing, man. Cool. It is just the sound, the tone, crazy piece of beautiful art you're playing, and I love the idea that you're using that. It's good, that does it all. So many, especially on an instrumental record, and a virtuoso guy like yourself. A lot of I see that other artists will use a different guitar for every song, sometimes 2 or 3 guitars in each song. You've got pretty much that guitar. And it does the job for sure.
It does. Now, different guitars have different sounds. A Les Paul sounds nothing like a Telecaster, right, and the two could never sound like each other. But with this guitar, the way I have it's 2 DiMarzio pickups, a tone zone and a chopper, and a 5-way toggle switch where it's the bridge pickup as a single coil, the two pickups together, the two out of phase, and then just the neck pickup. And the way the volume knob has a treble bleed on it, this concoction in there where as you lower the knob, normally the guitar tone gets a little darker, but this opens up and gets brighter. So with all of that, I could get some pretty decent tones out of the thing.
Yep.
So add to that the Helix, where you can simulate any amp, any effect, any cabinet being mic'd with any mic from any distance at any angle. It's pretty close to limitless
Yeah. Yeah.
what kind of sounds you can get, even with just one guitar.
That's so great, man. It's really cool. You got a ton of high profile guys. You got, like I said, Steve Vai and Brian May, Guthrie Govan, just a genius. But there's one guy in particular that I'd really like to talk about, and that's a violin player named Ben Karras. Thank You Scientist, Slaughter Son, Windfarer. He's on a tune called Funeral March. Did you have Ben in mind when you wrote the song? Because he's such a centerpiece in this song.
So Ben Karras, that song Funeral March is all about him. He made that song. And originally when I wrote it, it was for piano. It was this piano piece. And as the song was as I was building it and going, I realized it needed just the most tear-jerking, crying violin in there. And the only person I thought of was Ben. He's phenomenal and a wonderful guy. And Thank You Scientist is my favorite band. So he was really the only person on my list. And I'm glad he did it. And he made that song wonderful. Yeah.
It's pretty cool, and we'll have some links to Ben's stuff. Thank You Scientist was putting that on, and just man, oh man, it's some great progressive. Just I don't know how to explain it. It's eclectic in its nature, and just a fun listen. It's such great music, man.
Thank You Scientist, the way I think of it is it pretty much lights up every part of your brain.
Yeah.
Like anything from an intellectual or mathematical to emotional and like just everything.
Yep.
It pretty much hits everything.
Yeah, it is extremely stimulating for sure. No doubt, no doubt. You got Brian May, you got Guthrie Govan, you got these guys, and they're just massive, iconic figures, of course. Do you give them a couple things to work with, or did you write specifically? Said this is a Brian May thing, or this is a Guthrie Govan thing. Did you give them one piece of music and let them go? Any instruction for them?
It wasn't until after the songs were getting close to finish that I was realizing what they were and what they needed and who they needed. I wasn't going to have any guests on the songs, but I realized that, like the song Monstruoso with Steve Vai, for example, when it kicks in, I just imagined this crazy alien making noises and just sounds that do not come from a guitar. Steve Vai is the guy to make that happen.
That's for sure.
He would do it better than I could. So I asked him, and he did it. When I was doing Once and Forever, and it was so full of guitar harmonies and all these melodies, and when the break comes in the middle, and I just heard, like, once the song was done, I was like, God, this song just sounds like it should have Brian May playing on it. And if I played on it, I would just be a poor imitation. So I asked him if he would do it, and he did. The song with Guthrie, that was the first song that I put together when I decided to make an album, an instrumental album. And what I did is I took my earliest unused riff that has been sitting in the back of my brain since 1989. Just that riff, boom, 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 boom. I just never made a song out of it, but I never forgot the riff. So first thing I did is, you know what, let me dust that off and just put it to use and turn that into a song. Now, also in 1989, that's when I first met Guthrie. We were just teenagers, and he wrote me a letter, a handwritten letter, and sent me a cassette and mailed it to my house. Like, hi, my name is Guthrie. I read about you in this guitar magazine and wanted you to hear my stuff. And we became pen pals, and we would write each other these handwritten letters and transcriptions of our demo little riffs and cassettes back and forth.
Awesome.
And we were little 1980s teenager guitar pen pals. So when that song came together and it had the whole middle section, I was like, this would be cool to have a trade-off back and forth. Now, I had played on his album on the song Rhode Island Shred. I did that middle fretless solo and the harmonies out.
Okay.
So I was like, you know what? It's a riff from 1989. I met Guthrie in 1989. This song just, I should have called it 1989.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I was like, this song, you'd be perfect for it. Would you want to do it? And he's like, yeah. So we just did a little back and forth on that. Now, there's other guests as well. The song with Brian May, the drummer of that song is Jerry Gaskill of King's X.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Wow.
Yeah, like the song when I first was recording it, well, Kyle Hughes, he's my drummer, and he's amazing. He's the best. And, but
he's on most of the tracks, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And Jerry and I, we would go to dinner and all the time with our wives and hang out, and we would always talk about, oh, we should do something together. And I was like, you know what, this song just needs his kind of like Bonham-y, just that feel that he has. I was like,
Yeah.
so he came down and right in here just laid drums.
Nice.
And it's wonderful. He just has that, and yeah, just fantastic. And then Derek Sherinian, my Sons of Apollo bandmate, Whom God Has Destroyed bandmate. We do a million things together, and he's like, oh, you need real B3 on there, not that VST plugin. Come on. So he, and just put that in there. And yeah, the rest of the album, all the crazy drumming is the incredible, the wonderful, the amazing Kyle Hughes, who I met about 10 years ago. He was a 16-year-old kid. His band was opening for me in Newcastle, UK, and he hit me up and said, we'll learn your songs and be your backing band for that show if you want. I was like, okay. And he was so great at that show. He just put on a great show. His hair flying all over, played the shit out of the songs. He was so good, and just a really good human being. He was very professional when he needed to be professional. He was fun when a person should be fun, and just a good human being. I was like, I want this guy to be my drummer forever now, and he is. And
awesome.
he went on to play with Marco Mendoza and was touring with him all over the place, and Graham Bonnet, so playing with him, and Richie Kotzen, he's been his drummer.
Fantastic.
And now he's in a band with Paul Stanley's son, Evan Stanley, a band called Amber Wild. He's their drummer. So he's doing great things. He's just going up and up and up, and he's going to be one of those drummers that for decades people know his name and it's like, oh yeah, he's the guy. Yeah.
That's cool. I've seen him play. Amber Wild open up for Kiss.
Yeah, so you saw blonde-haired kid just kicking ass. That's him.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. That's great, man. He's well on his way. Playing a lot of gigs. I love to see that. Get his talent out there, and we need more of that. We need to hear that. For sure. I see some of these titles. Is it difficult to come up with titles for? Does the title come before the music? Maybe. Is it difficult to come up with a title on an instrumental record?
It's Planetary Lockdown was easy. That was a no-brainer. The rest of them, every single one has a story behind it, behind the title, and the title came last, sometimes very last, like the Once and Forever. makes me picture something, and then I need a title that matches that. So with that song, it felt to me like when you're thinking back on one of the greater moments in your life. It could be anything. It could be your daughter getting married and you're having the dance with her at her wedding or something like that. Like whatever it is, like one of those special things that just mean the world to you. To me, that song sounds like the soundtrack to one of those moments to me. That's what I hear in it. And the artwork was done, and I still couldn't think of a name because it just felt so important, that one. And finally, I narrowed it down to a few names, and I hit up Brian. I was like, what do you like best? This. He liked Once and Forever. I was like, that's the name. Thank you. And that was it. And then other ones like Monstruoso. I pictured the sound of that song reminds me of, I was picturing like in the 60s, 70s monster movies that we'd watch as kids. Those, the original, those
Creature feature.
Godzilla movies. And those secondary ones that not everyone knows the name of. They didn't do remakes of Mothra. Remember the flying turtle that would spin?
Yes.
So when I'm making instrumental music, it's more like I'm moments that I'm experiencing, something I'm feeling, something I'm picturing, and writing a soundtrack to it in a way. And I've done a lot of music for instrumental music, for video games, for horror movies, for TV shows. My music has been in some So You Think You Can Dance, all kinds of things where people are hearing and they don't even know it's. So when I'm writing these songs, then I need a title afterwards that matches it all. And I pictured the old monster movies and just pictured something called Monstruoso and the sounds that it would make. Vi was perfect for that. What else? Griggstown Crossing. And to me, that song reminds me of just sitting on the tour bus, staring out the window for hours, just watching all the towns and everything, and this weird feeling like this is your floating home, no roots are planted. And when I go on tour, towns that I leave when I'm leaving this area of Central Jersey is a town called Griggstown. It's like once I've passed Griggstown, so it's like Griggstown from one day in 24-hour increments. Each time you're in a different place and you're just floating from place to place and you're detached from everything, and it's a different kind of life that if you haven't lived it, it's hard to explain it. But that's what that song sounds like to me. When I hear it, I just picture sitting by just through the weird serenity of it and the mix of you missing home, and it's just, all of that. Thread. That one. For 10 years, I've been part of this email thread of all our friends, and we just talk about whatever, anything. And I was writing this once, and the melody, it sounded too familiar, and I knew it couldn't have been original. So I asked them, I was like, what the hell? And one of them figured it out. He was like, oh, that's the song from Gary Moore. I was like, okay, that's what it is. And changed the chords, changed the melody, and then I showed it to them again. I was like, what do you think? He's like, oh, that's better, but maybe don't go so crazy so soon, spacing. The first break, do something, calmer, and then the second break, do that crazy whappy, tappy, whatever you're doing. So they sort of helped me write that song in a way, or they guided me. So the song wouldn't be what it is without them, so I named it after them. I call it The Thread. That's what we call it, The Thread. So cool. I named it after my thread mates, The Thread.
Nice.
Every song has some kind of little story behind it. Yeah.
And that's cool. That's it's very personal for you, and it's got to add so much to a record, rather than just playing something and you like the piece or whatever, but to have that story behind it has to be really satisfying. Yeah, yeah, it's way cool, way cool.
Every single one has a story. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, very
So
cool.
good. Yeah.
Um, Whom Gods Destroy, you've got the record, Art of Anarchy, you've had a few records. Will we see more of those bands? Any future records from them?
I was about to say only time will tell, and then that reminded me. Oh yeah, during the time period between albums with them, but only time will tell.
Okay,
We'll see
cool.
what happens. I
Yeah,
mean, everybody's busy. Everyone's doing things.
right,
If the time allows, it's almost like we had the time to do it during the pandemic. Now that the pandemic is the hamster wheel running, running, running,
right,
are we going to be able to get off that wheel to do an album again, to do it again?
right.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
At this point, I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, I hope so. It's just like I say, such great music. All of that is just awesome. Any tour plans? I know you've taken, we talked about that last time. You've retired from the solo touring kind of thing. And does this spark a desire maybe to get out there and play a solo show or two?
Well, I'll be playing. Am I going to be on that tour bus staring out the window listening to Griggs Town Crossing? And I don't plan to do that.
Yeah,
I will tour with other bands as not to prevent them from touring if I'm part of that band. But for me, I like doing one-offs, different festivals and events, and a lot of teaching thing. I always did love producing and teaching. Those are my two favorite things more than performing. And the more crotchety I get and the more white hairs I get, the more I'm like, no, I'm just doing what I want. And so I'm doing a lot of those things. A lot of rock and roll fantasy camps coming up. I'm going to be playing, me and Derek, we're going to play at the Kennedy Center on
oh,
April 1st in Washington, D.C. And we're going to
good.
bring Tony Franklin on bass and Vinny Appice on drums. And we're going to be doing some stuff. And then later that month, we're going to play out in the Canary Islands. And Dino is going to join us on vocals. And so we have some fun stuff planned. And I will be out there playing. Am I going to be touring? I don't plan to. But one thing I can say for sure is that don't make plans because they're just going to change. So
Yeah,
whatever you don't plan on doing, you'll probably be doing, and whatever you plan on doing may get kiboshed. So,
right.
so at this point, I am just free flowing. I am the water in the river, just flowing around the obstacles and just seeing where it goes. And wherever it goes is where I'm meant to be and where I am. So,
That's great. That's great, man. So rock and roll fantasy camp with my friend Britt.
oh,
Yeah,
she's the best. She's
isn't she the
wonderful.
greatest? She is something special, man. It is really cool. What are you playing at the Kennedy Center? What are you guys doing?
Ah, we're gonna do a whole bunch of rock songs, but without vocals. I'm gonna play all the vocal lines on guitar. So it's gonna be like instrumental versions of a lot of cool known rock songs.
Cool.
And
Awesome,
it'll
man.
just be, I think it's just like a half hour set. I gotta double check.
Yeah.
But it'll be nice.
Yeah.
And the Kennedy Center is, it's not your neighborhood bar. It's a
No, it
different
is
thing.
not.
Yeah.
No,
So it's
man, that is cool. Quite an honor. Not everybody gets to play that gig. So that's a cool one for sure, for sure. Man, Ron, always a pleasure to talk to you, man.
absolutely likewise,
I
yeah.
so appreciate you, man. All the music, and taking the time out of your day to do this, and dealing with all this internet, all the internet demons
It's I
today.
know it's probably more frustrating for you than for me. It's like I know how it is. Like when you're trying to do something, it's like, no, don't screw this up, and it's out of your control. Like
Yes,
internet, yeah.
yeah,
Well, thank you.
yeah.
Hopefully I'll be
Absolutely.
seeing you soon. I don't know where will I see you next.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm in the Windy City here. Yeah, hit
I
me
might
up
be
if
doing
you're.
something in Chicago in the summer.
Okay.
Their Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp is doing this thing called Rock and Roll University, and it's for kids like 11 to 17.
Really?
And
That's
it's
awesome.
pretty much just like Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, but just yeah, the under 18 version. And I'm gonna be a counselor for a bunch of those, and I'm pretty sure that there's gonna be in Chicago as well. So I'll
Awesome.
fly out there and do those. So hopefully I'll see you.
Ron, thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. See you later.
Take care. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye.